Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is video finds you. It's your boy Jay here, and you know what we're here to do. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. So yeah, I'm just gonna name a couple of monsters I'd really like to see in the next Monster Hunter game. And yeah, it's gonna be a short list. Let's get into it. So because it's going to be a short list, I'm not going to include every single monster that I would like to see, but these are a couple notable monsters that I took note of, and I have my reasons for why I want to see them come to Monster Hunter 6. So yeah, let's get these low-hanging fruit out of the way, right? Agnactor, Zamtrios, and Tetsukabra. Alright, I'd like these three to make a return. Why? Because it was kind of weird that they weren't in Rise or Sunbreak, given that we had the Urukutor, we had the Zamites, and we had Hojo sitting on a Tetsukabra in the middle of Kamura. So it's like, yo, where are these monsters at? Like, we know they exist because the little baby ones are here, and my man's Hojo is sitting on a Tetsukabra in the dang lobby. Like, why is it not in this game? So I want to get those three out the way. I want to see them return in, you know, amazing, you know, Gen 5 plus glory. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I want to get those three out the way. Want to mention them. And without further ado, we're going to go into the individual monsters that I want to return and talk about them in great detail. Let's go. Alright, so the first monster we're going to talk about today, and these are in no particular order, by the way. But yeah, the first monster we're going to talk about today is Kurupeku. Kurupeku? It's been a long time since this guy has been in the game. As you can see, the footage is from Monster Hunter 3U. I had to boot up the Wii U to get this footage for you guys. But yeah, Kurupeku, I want Kurupeku to return. For those of you who don't know what a Kurupeku is, he's basically a hunting horn in monster form, right? So he can mimic the calls of other monsters and summon them to, you know, where you guys are fighting and have other monsters show up on the map, right? Now, the thing about Kurupeku's gimmick is it means a couple things. It means that having multiple monsters in the same place on the map is threatening again, right? That's one of my biggest issues with Sunbreak is in a regular map, multiple monsters is not an issue. You didn't really need to carry dung bombs. It was whatever, because the two monsters would fight, you'd ride one of them, the other one would piss off. That's not going to be a thing anymore if Kurupeku is back, right? And then also, he's just really unique. So after he calls the monster over, what he can then do is, remember how I told you he's hunting horn in monster form, he can sing a song that kind of like buffs the monster a little bit, right? He sings a song that will help the monster that he called over beat you up, so you're getting jumped. I think it's a really interesting and unique gimmick, and they can, you know, do more with it now that, you know, the consoles are, you know, way stronger than, you know, the Wii U and the 3DS used to be, which are the games that he last appeared in. So I think bringing back Kurupeku would lead to very unique monster interactions, and maybe they can expand his repertoire of songs and maybe expand how he can buff the other monsters on the map. I think it'd be awesome. I really want to see that boy Kurupeku come back. Hit me down below in the comments if you agree. Alright, up next, we're talking about a big old brute wyvern, man. We're talking about Duramboros. That's right, I want to see Duramboros make his way to a new gen game. That's right, Duramboros is the only brute wyvern that hasn't been in either World or Sunbreak, right? He's the only brute wyvern still trapped in 4th gen. Let's bring him forward, right? I really like this guy. He's super unique. You can break his tail twice. I want them to keep that you can mine his tail after you break it the first time. That's a cool mechanic. I really like that. And then I also want to give him maybe like a something similar to Ragnar Kadaki, where like he's this like big like mountain covered in moss kind of guy. You know what I mean? So maybe give him like a moss armor at the start of the fight that you have to break, right? And then after you break it, you know, you get to attack the soft hide underneath, and then you get the real hit zone values, right? So maybe give him something like that, and you know, keep the part where like the hump is the soft part, and also keep the mechanic where if you attack his feet while he's spinning enough, then you can get him to fall over and you can exploit the hump. So yeah, want to see Duramboros make the jump to a new gen game, and you know, you can mix and match him and do new things and make him more interesting than his previous appearances and make him super unique as a brute wyvern. Hell yeah, want to see me some Duramboros. I want to bust that hump. Alright, the next monster I want to talk about that I want to see in the next Monster Hunter game is going to be the one, the only Snake Wyvern. Najarala. That's right, this is the only Snake Wyvern. We have a whole class of monsters in this game called Snake Wyvern, and this guy is the only one. Well, this guy and his subspecies, right? Which, it's the same monster, you know what I'm saying? Like, but you get what I'm getting at. I want to see Najarala make its way to the next Monster Hunter game. And I know technically, like, the Elder Dragon, Dalamador, counts as a Snake Wyvern too, but he's an Elder Dragon. Snake Wyvern, man, just a monster that can be affected by traps, a regular dude, right? Dalamador is kind of like an end boss kind of guy. But yes, I want to see Najarala make its way to the next game. Bring the subspecies too. That way, you know, when you get it to the G rank expansion, bring Tidal over too. Why not? But also, not just Najarala. I also want to see another entry in the Snake Wyvern class, right? I've already mentioned it earlier in the video, but you know, these consoles are getting more complex, more powerful. So I think we can handle, you know, long monsters, bigger monsters that can slither over, you know, geometry and all that. Like I know game dev is hard. You know what I'm saying? I know game dev is hard. That's why we haven't got the Gaia Cruise back in a while. But yeah, I think we need another Snake Wyvern, right? Maybe even make the flagship a Snake Wyvern. I'd be down for that, right? So yes, I do want Najarala to come back, but I also want to see another entry in the Snake Wyvern class make his or her debut. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be dope, right? You bring back Najarala and be like, yo, this is the only Snake Wyvern we've had for the longest time. This is what Snake Wyverns used to be. You adapt them for the modern Monster Hunter, you know, game and all that. And then you have a new monster where it's like, I bet this is the new direction of the Snake Wyvern class of wyverns. You know what I'm saying? That way we have the contrast of the old and the new in the same game. And I think it would just be super interesting to finally have another Snake Wyvern on the list of monsters. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Najarala, bring back Tidal in the G rank expansion, or G rank. I'm an old head for real. In the Master rank expansion, and also add a new Snake Wyvern, right? All of this predicated based on Najarala's return. So yes, I am asking for one monster in Najarala, but really I'm asking for 3. You get me though, right? I'm being reasonable. But yeah, want Najarala to come back, and I want a new Snake Wyvern. Let's do it. Okay. Those of you that know, you're looking at your screen like, ain't no way. I know this dude is not talking about bringing Lao-Shan-Lung to the next game. Hear me out. Look, I know the joke about Lao-Shan-Lung is that he puts everybody to sleep because he's so boring and it's not very interactive and blah 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 blah. I get it. But look at this beast of a monster. Look at this thing, right? With going to the new game, right? I know that, like, when they bring a monster from the past, it's not just a copy paste, right? They don't bring the monster exactly as it is. They always tweak it a little bit, right? I mean, look at Fatalis, look at Alatreon, look at Amatsu, right? It's not just a copy paste. They change things up, they make it more interesting, and with the new technology, they bring their original vision of the monster to life, right? We can do the same thing with Lao-Shan-Lung, right? Maybe have it in a different setting. We can use the new cannon and ballista mechanics from Rise, right? You guys remember Rampages? We don't do them anymore, but yeah, bring those cannon and ballista back, right? Make it way more interactive. And like, he's a big old monster, so maybe we can have it to where there'll be spots on him that, like, the monster can the hunter can climb up, and there'll be certain weak spots, maybe down the spine of his back, that you can attack, something like Jen Moran, right? But you know, we have the technology to make this guy more interesting, and he doesn't have to be the snooze fest that the community jokes about. You know what I'm saying? We can bring back Lao-Shan-Lung, we can make it more interesting, and you know, truly make it a spectacle of a hunt. Because I mean, we're basically hunting Godzilla. Like, look at this guy, he's huge. You can make it way more interesting than it currently is by adding, you know, new mechanics to it, and maybe even having a part of the fight where he's not always just kind of walking. Maybe we get to a final arena where he stands still and really just tries to take us out as we, the hunters, climb on him and attack his weak spots and all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, I want to see Lao-Shan-Lung. I want to see, you know, a remix basically of Lao-Shan-Lung and make him super interesting and you know, still have it be like, yeah, this Lao-Shan-Lung, it's this big old monster, great, but make him different and way more interesting than you know, his current most recent version. Alright, and now the moment you've been waiting on. You clicked on the thumbnail for this video, so you knew these two were going to come up. And I do want to talk about them in pairs, but we got a Cantor and Yukon-Los. That's right, I want to bring back these two gigantic mother lovers to the next Monster Hunter game and kind of redo them, man. Like, bring them up Alatreon style, Fatalis style, kind of redo them and make them an even bigger spectacle than they already are or were. You know what I'm saying? So because they're so like large and imposing, I do think that they would fit for a Siege style remake, you know what I'm saying? Something similar to like Safi Jiva or Kolv Taroth that we had in Iceborne. But we don't have to go that route. Like, I'd be cool with just a hunt and just make it, you know, a really big spectacle. Maybe bring back Ingle Isle and what is it? Polar Vortex? No, it's not Polar Field. That's it. Bring back Ingle Isle and Polar Field. Maybe remake them a little bit. Bring back their mechanics. You know, with Polar Field that has the changing elevations as the fight goes on, and then Ingle Isle has also a little bit of the changing elevation and the lava bubbles that kind of happen. Bring that back. But also another thing to think about is, yes, I want these in Monster Hunter 6, but they don't, for me at least, they don't have to be in the base game. I would be okay with them coming as a free title update or as the first title update, so long as they show up together and they're comparable. Does that make sense? Like, I want them to be linked. I want them to show up together, right? And have it be the Yukon-Los Cantor patch, and have them both come out and, you know, bring their weapons, bring their armor, and have them be, you know, maybe the best representation of their respective elements, that being fire and ice, right? When we get those weapons, you know, with the huge raw, maybe huge element, but low sharpness, right? You know, so yeah, that's something I really want to see. I really want to fight these two again in a modern Monster Hunter game. Like, bring them, make them a huge spectacle. Maybe even change up their signature attacks a little bit, make them even more of a spectacle. Maybe give them a new one, right? I mean, we got the shovel jaw Yukon-Los, right? He does the digging when he's chasing after you, and then of course we got the dragon beam of Cantor and his thing. So maybe we can add an attack that utilizes both of their special characteristics to really highlight how much of a threat these guys are, how much of a natural disaster these two are as a pair, and just, you know, really lean into how gigantic and huge and crazy this encounter should be for monsters of this stature, right? So yeah, that kind of concludes like the list, man. This is who I want to see really bad in the next Monster Hunter game. That's not to say like I don't want to see any other monsters, of course, you know what I mean? Like, I'm happy bringing any previous monster, especially monsters that are locked to 4th gen and previous, right? That's gonna be my thing. Like, I really want to see some of the older monsters make the jump forward to get to a modern Monster Hunter title, right? So 5th gen is this line in the sand. I want to see a lot more monsters cross that line, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this list of monsters that I really want to see in the next Monster Hunter game. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Is there a monster that you really want to see but wasn't mentioned here? Let me know in the comment down below, man. I plan on replying to each and every comment that hits this video. And as always, people, happy hunting. Peace.